So this is lab 26, and I believe this is one of the important labs, so we will go a bit detail into it. This lab is about configuring privilege identity management, or PIM, for Microsoft Entra ID roles. So let's just get started. So the exercise 1 is configure Microsoft Entra role settings, and task 1 is open role settings. So we will log into Microsoft Entra ID, which we have already logged in. Then we will go into privilege identity management, which might have been moved somewhere else, so I'm just going to find that and I'm going to resume the video. So I found the privilege identity management. It's under ID governance. When I click on it, this is the page that opens. So after that, we will click on Microsoft Entra roles under manage here. Then we will have to click on settings under manage. Then in the search by role name here, we are going to enter compliance administrator. We are going to select that, and we are going to review the information shown here. So this is where task 1 ends, and task 2 is about require approval to activate. So on this page, role setting details, we'll click on edit here at the top. Then we will click on this here, require approval to activate. And in the approver, we will add our mod administrator as the approver. Then we will click on update. And that is the end of task 2. In exercise 2, we have use PIM to assign Microsoft Entra ID roles. And the task 1 is assign a role. So we will go back to PIM, then we will click on Microsoft Entra roles. Then we will click on roles under the manage section. Then we'll click on add assignment at the top here. We will click on compliance administrator. Then we will click on select member, and there is no member selected, and we will select Miriam, and then select. Then we will click on next. In here we have two options, eligible or active. So the lab tells us that eligible option means that they have to do certain kind of action before they can use the role. Like for example, they might have to perform a multi-factor authentication first, or maybe provide a business justification or request approval in our case that we have just created. Or active assignment means that the role is just assigned to them directly without any condition to fulfill to perform the role. So we are just going to leave it be as eligible because we have created the requesting approval in the previous task. So I assume that we are going to use that in the next task, and we are just going to assign it here, and this is going to assign the role to Miriam Graham. That is the end of task 1, and in task 2 we will have to log in with Miriam. So I assume that we are going to test the role or request the role. Let's see. So in the private window, we will try to log into entra.com here, entra.microsoft.com. I'm going to pause the video to set up the MFA, then I'm going to continue back again. Okay, so I set up the MFA, and I'm logged in as Miriam at the moment, and I went to Entra ID, then users, then selected all users, then clicked on Miriam. Then from the left side pane, I clicked on assign roles, and here we can see under the active assignment there is no results, because remember that we did not made the admin role active, we just made it eligible. So if I go into eligible here, compliance administrator is eligible. and that is the end of task 2. In task 3, we will be activating the Microsoft Entra ID roles. So the lab does not mention that I have to continue in Miriam role or my mod administrator account. So I'm just going to continue with Miriam, and if I hit any roadblock ahead, I might move to my mod administrator account. So for that, we will have to go into under ID governance, we will go to privilege identity management. Then we'll click on my roles, and here we have the compliance administrator role. And if I want to use this role, since Miriam is eligible, and if Miriam wants to use this role, she can just request by selecting activate, and I think that's going to open this tab here which says she's going to be activating the compliance administrator, and for how long she wants to use this for, and what is the reason for it. So I'm just going to leave it as 1 hour for now. So if we have entered to do MFA, then here when we click activate, theoretically it should have asked us to enter the MFA, but I assume we did not create that, so that's why it took us directly to this page, and it's asking for the reason because I think it's by default. So I'm just going to enter a reason here which says maybe testing. Then we will click on activate, but before we do that, let me just see what's under the role tab here. So it says what's the resource, what's the role, who is the member, what's the starting time, end time. Okay, what if I click this? Okay, that's going to bring up exact date and time based on UTC. So I'm just going to disable that, and I'm going to hit activate. Okay, so here we see that your request is pending for approval, it says. So since we were using the mod administrator as the approver, we should be able to see the request. So I opened the admin account, which was the approver, and let me just go back. So once under ID governance, if we click on privilege identity management PIM, and from here if we go to my request, you should see that there is nothing here. But if I go back and if I select approve request, that's going to show that Miriam Graham is trying to use the compliance administrator role, and she's requesting for it, and what's the reason for it, and ticket name, ticket system, and all that stuff. So from here I can probably click on it, approve or deny it. So I'm just going to hit approve for now. Okay, it's asking for justification as well, so I'm just going to write something like something simple like requested for testing purposes. I'm going to hit confirm, and Miriam has been granted the approval. Let's go back to the Miriam page and let's see. So if I click on this is I'm logged in as Miriam, and if I click on privileged identity management, my roles, and before that we saw that under active assignments it was not showing anything, it was showing empty, but now since the mod administrator has approved it, it's showing up here as activated, which is pretty interesting. And let us suppose that if I'm Miriam, I want to do any task which requires me to use the compliance administrator account or the role. I can probably do that. Then when it's done, I can come here and I can hit deactivate. So I'm just going to hit deactivate. Okay, so the active duration is too short, it says. Minimum required is 5 minutes. I didn't know that, but that's pretty informative. So we will move on to task 4, which is assign a role with restricted scope. So we'll just leave this be. We'll go back to our mod administrator account. We'll go back to Entra ID homepage. So it's still doing the task under privileged identity management, and from here we will click on Microsoft Entra roles. And then we will select roles from the left hand side, and we will click on add assignment. We'll click on this and we'll click on user administrator. And we will use directory scope type for this task. So I can add any member here, then I can hit next and I can assign it. But for this task is asking me to cancel this, so I assume that this is the task 4. So I'm just going to do that. The task 5 says, in this task 5 we will be updating or removing an existing role assignment. So we will go into the same page, manage, under manage we will click on assignment. So eligible assignment, we can see that Miriam is here in active. We should also see Miriam because it has been activated by us. So if I go into eligible assignment again, and in the actions page I can either remove it or update it. The lab is asking for removing, so we'll just click on remove and then yes. Yeah, so it just says that the active duration is too short. So I'm just going to pause the video and come back after 5 minutes have passed so we can remove the role. So this is about like 5-6 minutes, and I tried removing the role and it was removed. And with this this lab is now completed, and we will move on to lab 28. There is no lab 26 here, there's 28 after this.